Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Today I wanted to have this short discussion, and I feel like this is a conversation starter for what the Division community expects to see in the future. Now, this discussion is pretty much at the core of the Division's RPG whole system, and I have been working on a video that's going to highlight some of the RPG overhauls that are coming in year 2. So stick with me as we walk through, this entire discussion and looking at how, everything works in the game and why players are in some cases concerned and in some cases excited about what all these changes are going to mean for them and for their entire build and for the RPG of the game. So one of the things that we know about the Division 2, and I think this is one thing the game excels at very well, is in synergies, in terms of making every single component of different variable builds work together. So the way they've designed exotics have a holster talent that can synergize with the build should you intend to use that. Exotic gear also has a way to synergize with perhaps maybe a play style or maybe a specific role that you want to play. And then there are talents, and then there are also skills, and then there are also specializations, and all your job is as a player is to string these things together to actually work in your favor. So say you want to build a something that lasts for you over and over again, and you want to continue to make yourself viable, and everyone is running their SMG builds, and they're using all kinds of talents, and everybody runs maybe perfect clutch, maybe they run a specific SMG, maybe they run a specific exotic that will work for their case, perhaps maybe the chatterbox, they run that as maybe a secondary weapon or whatever. Some people can go in different ways, and everybody will still be able to come out with a build, an SMG clutch build that is still unique from the individual next door. Some people might say, I want to go and get some armor on kill, and maybe find some perks here and there that will give them a little bit of armor on kill, on their blues. But some people might say, using your 4 blues to do armor on kill seems like a waste. Why not just use them all to get health? All kinds of play styles exist. Some people may say, well, I'm not using Berserk for my clutch build, so I don't have to worry too much about, my armor. So I think getting more armor is actually better for me and all that good stuff. Now, how does this actually roll into year 2's changes? Well, the thing that a lot of people have said is, I think I'm kind of tired of seeing how my gear constantly gets changed over and over again. But this is, in my opinion, one of the sad realities of the Division 2 in a sense. But I also can see how this particular changes are necessary, especially for PvP. Many people may not, look at it from that aspect, but that's exactly one of the big reasons we're getting these changes. And until they decide to change the rules for how gear and weapons work in PvP, we're gonna continue to see this stuff happen. Hopefully, they actually nip it in the bud, and instead of using the time that they're using to make these overhauls, they can invest all that time in making new content. I think that's where the best aspect of the game is actually going to be. But with these weapon synergies, I'm going to give a few examples of them. And what I want you guys to do in the comment section is actually give your favorite synergies in terms of weapon, in terms of gear, in terms of specialization. And, we can continue this conversation. And even when we make our way to New York, we're actually going to keep seeing these things. And the example that I wanted to point out here is in the gear. In the, 3-hour live stream that they did, the post event after the New York, reveal, the developers actually came out. This is Bruce Kelly and Frederick Thailander actually came out and pointed out a specific, method of the new brand set attributes and talent and all that, and how they actually work. And one interesting thing that I saw was the Fenris brand set still is going to remain at its core something that synergizes with the assault rifle, while Wyvern is now inheriting the shotgun 10% shotgun damage in terms of the example that they put out there. Now, that was a dev build. Those numbers might change when the live action shows up. but it shows that, you know, these two guys, in terms of their game design, have been looking at what synergies actually mean at a deeper and a core level. I mean, they've been implementing this for a long time, but I think they're starting to ask themselves, how do these weapon synergies, you know, work, and how do players interact with them, and how are we going to bring them on a larger scale in the Division 2? So you look at the chess piece for even the Badger Tough. The Badger Tough chess piece now has Unbreakable, well, the one that they showed anyways, and this shows you that, okay, they want to encourage you and incentivize you to go pick up a shotgun to get your chess piece for, you know, your Badger Tough. Maybe even we may have the 0Fs that even gives you a better buff, you know, maybe when your armor breaks. We haven't seen what the named items are going to look like once the patch rolls around. That might actually be better. You know, and then, you know, you can now use this and even gain more armor on kill. So you make your way up there, you take out enemies, you have a, you know, you're in a position to be able to get an extra 95% of your armor, you know, life bar. And then if you maybe run an armor on kill build, and then you can synergize that perhaps with your gunner specialization. And so gunner specialization and all that might change, but you can see the theme that I'm actually building here in this discussion. And so for those who may be concerned about how your build may work, your build is already established within a parameter of playstyles. I think that's what the developers have been able to see from data collection, how people play. Watching build videos is also another way I feel like they've probably, you know, used to gain and gather data, seeing what people are running, seeing talents that people are running, and saying, let's take these playstyles and let's actually make them actually better. So if you're playing a specific playstyle already, what's going to happen now is the game is going to incentivize you to actually commit much more to that play style. A lot of people might say this seems to be, you know, a problem. I don't think that's the case. I think you can pick your play style, and because of the amount of synergies that are available in the game, you can also inherit other, you know, aspects to make yourself at least proficient in other things, so that as a solo player, in case you're a solo player, you can still run and, you know, be able to take care of yourself while playing through some of the more difficult content. You just have to be a little bit more creative as to how you do it. I think every time, you know, we see these gear changes, you know, most of the time we think everything's going to swing all the way left and swing all the way right. But eventually when we start playing the game, we realize that there's room for, you know, a mix and match. I think the developers have always pushed against, you know, a class system, which is one thing that a lot of people are probably afraid of. And I remember back in the day when I was much more naive about the way the game worked, I was one of the people pushing for a class system because they made the classified gear sets. And I was like, well, why don't they just make a class system in the Division 2 that, you know, forces people into playing specific roles? But a lot of the community said, you know, that's going to actually allow for, you know, the game to lose one of its most unique, you know, selling points, or one of its most unique attributes, which is the ability for players to be able to play the game however they wish to play in a specific set rules and set paradigms. So if you look at the way we do weapon synergies right now in the Division 2, you know, we run things like the Sawyer knee pads. Some people are actually pairing that Sawyer knee pads with the fire starter. Somebody commented on my video today and said, hey, you might want to check out the Sawyer knee pads and the fire starter, you know, combination, because if you're doing a cover to cover run, you gain like a bonus. And he said that that bonus actually stacks, and that was really interesting. He said to see myself at, you know, a crazy amount of you know, armor when I'm playing against NPCs, that just makes a whole makes me laugh, and it makes it really interesting to play. Some people also run their, you know, assault rifle or their automatic weapons with the chatterbox. This has been a common play style since the chatterbox was introduced. I think, you know, we're going to be seeing some weapon synergies as well. The Sweet Dreams, some people were running the Sweet Dreams with, you know, high capacity LMGs, which was one of the best ways to actually run it. If you do an evasive action, you gain like 25% of your magazine. I think that's the number. And that was good for, you know, those LMGs that had, you know, 100 or 150 round mags. You can run that with gunner specialization as well and get that belt that gives you a lot more rounds in your magazine. So, you know, this is just really, really cool. Some people were running the Dodge holster with also high capacity weapons. They'll just swap to their firearm and they get a huge reload speed buff at that time that many people were running it. I think eventually it kind of fell out of the meta, but hopefully we see an overhaul that brings it back into play and into, you know, the game currently. Some people are running the Wicked talent, you know, including that with the Pyromaniac build currently. Now, these are things that many of us are probably going to miss, but I don't think we're actually going to we're going to lose them, you know, 100%. I think with the perfect talents, and this is how I think the talent system will work. Now, they've said that, you know, only chess pieces and backpacks are going to have talents. I believe strongly that the perfect talents are probably still going to remain in the game, and they're probably still going to remain on the pieces that you see them on. Now, you might say, but does that not go against the grain of what they already mentioned? Well, yes, but they've already been going against the grain of some things, even from this current build. If you look at maybe the Badger Tough 0F chess piece, it has Unbreakable on it, which Badger Tough does not have any talent. If you look at the Ammo Dump holster, it also has a talent on it, which Badger Tough has been known to have no talents on its gear. But we see 2 named Badger Tough items right now that have talents on them. So I will not be surprised that your named gloves or your named you know, knee pads or your named holsters actually come with a perk of some kind that makes them stand out. I'm not saying they're going to come with a talent, but they have to stand out somehow, because even in the new game, they're bringing out, I think the numbers that they presented were about 10 new named items, or no, sorry, 19 new named items. And so these named items need to have an incentive for people to go out and grind for them. So let us, you know, as a community, just kind of be on the lookout for what's going to be happening. I thought that this discussion was interesting, and I knew many people would have a lot of questions about this because I've been seeing some of these questions stem up from my past few videos. So in the comment section, leave your weapon synergies and your weapon synergy ideas that you feel you're probably going to want to see in the next game. I think the biggest question too is about the exotics. We don't really know what the overhauls and the reworks look like, but it's going to be interesting to see how this will continue to propagate through the division, because it's been a trend from the Division 1, and even the Division 2 has actually expanded it more and made it better. So that's pretty much the end of my video. I appreciate you guys this time and audience. Thank you for listening and, you know, for watching the video. If you enjoyed the content, hit the subscribe button, join the Gaming Daddy community. This is what we talk about here, the division and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I guess I'll see you in my next video. Once again, I just want to say thank you guys for 20,000 subs. It's an opportunity to do this, and I guess I'm gonna get out of your hair. Peace.